In today's Sharp Saturday video, we are going to look at a knife that I have had numerous requests to take a look at over the last several years. So finally I broke down and bought one. I'm talking about the Cold Steel Fenwolf folding knife. That's what we're going to be taking a look at coming up next here on Survival on Purpose. Welcome back to Survival on Purpose, your home for trustworthy information and gear reviews related to camping, survival, and general preparedness for regular folks. My name's Brian. Thanks for joining me. So as I said, I bought one of these Cold Steel Fenwolf folding knives. Over the last few years, I've had a lot of people tell me I need to check these out. This one has the triad lock, which is supposed to be extremely strong. And I got to tell you, I've seen some videos on Cold Steel's website that kind of backs that up. This thing has been tested up to 800 pounds of hanging weight. So not this particular knife, because this is a plastic frame knife, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but the lock itself has. I think they tested this one to 150 pounds, which is pretty strong for a complete plastic frame knife. So anyway, I want to see what all the hoopla was about, so I got one. When's the last time you heard anybody say hoopla, by the way? That may be the first time I've ever used that word. So anyway, we're going to get down to the old stump top and get to doing some of that knife stuff in just a minute. But first, I think this is a perfect time for another Sportsman's Guide Military Surplus Minute, where we take a quick look at another cool piece of gear from the world's largest military surplus store over at Sportsman's Guide. And this time we're going to be taking a look at these brand new U.S. military surplus Rucker flight gloves, and these are issued to the 160th SOAR Airborne and other special forces. They are a Polartec Power Stretch Nomex fleece blend with leather palms, and they are 100% made in the USA by Outdoor Research. Sportsman's Guide member price on these gloves is $31.49. If you want to get these exact gloves, the item number is WX2-712294. Don't forget, you can save 20 bucks on any qualifying purchase over 100 bucks by using the coupon code SURVIVAL20. So it's been another Sportsman's Guide Military Surplus Minute. Hopefully I've kept it to a minute. And now let's get to doing some knife stuff. Okay, so before we get to doing some knife stuff, let's just talk about the specs real quick. This is the Cold Steel Fenwolf, which is a Puco design folder. The knife features a 3.5 inch by 3 millimeter thick blade of Japanese Aus 8 stainless steel with a 4 3/8 inch long Grivex handle. This one happens to be blaze orange. The overall length of this knife is 7 7/8 inches, and it weighs just 3.4 ounces. Features a reversible tip-up pocket clip and the tried and true, very heavy-duty Cold Steel triad lock. The edge on this knife is a 0 ground Scandi grind. The handles are made of Grivex, which is fiberglass reinforced plastic. The price on this knife, depending upon the color handle, and is about 39 to 40 bucks on Blade HQ and about 40 bucks on Amazon. Okay, so let's get to doing some knife stuff. So first of all, so far every Cold Steel knife that I've taken a look at, and there's been a few, have been completely razor sharp out of the box. So this is a good opportunity just to do the old redneck knife test one more time and see how well this thing it shaves some hair pretty good. So now let's do something else. We'll do a quick paper cut test, because that's kind of seems to be a little bit of a standard too, and we'll just see. Okay, it cuts just fine, even though the paper's got a little bit damp. Just laid on the ground out here, so put that aside. So those kind of things, cutting paper, you know, shaving your hair. If you need to shave with this, you could probably do it. But one of the things that led me to actually buy this knife was I reviewed a folding knife from another company a little while back, and was doing some batoning with it, because it's put out as a folding / bushcraft knife. And the lock, as batoning it, the lock kind of gave out a little bit. So we're going to try this one, do a little batoning with it. It's that's not something I recommend doing with a folding knife, but this thing has got this triad lock here, and it's really interesting. There's a little thing on Cold Steel's website that explains this, but you can see this little notch right here, and it fits this post. That's just a little added security for this, like a back lock, but that little notch kind of locks it in there. There's some other stuff here too. So like I said, this particular lock mechanism has been tested to, I think it was 800 pounds. This particular knife, I saw a video, they tested it to 150 pounds, because it has a complete plastic frame. So there's no metal frame here, it's all plastic. Griv-X, which is a fiberglass reinforced plastic, and it's a backlock design. It's got these thumb studs on it. And it's got a little finger grooves kind of here and stuff, which is pretty cool. And also I like the fact that it has the reversible tip-up carry pocket clip. So anyway, that being said, got a couple things I'm going to try to do with this thing. So first of all, this is a piece of, I believe this is privet. It's really, really hard. So we're going to try to do a little cross batoning and see. This is pretty reasonable size, I think, for this blade. But cross batoning is pretty tough. Pretty tough way to test a knife, but we're going to try it. So I'm going to try to get it where you can see what we're doing here. And here we go. Let's just do it. Now, so if you had to get through a piece of wood like this, you were trying to craft something in camp or whatever, because this is a camp knife. This is one way to do it, and I don't really like try to go crazy. I just try to widen my gap a little bit every time and peel it on down. This thing has a Scandi grind, so you can kind of cut little shaves there and just make that notch a little bigger every time. There's no sense in trying to just drive it through the knot. I think this is pretty tough work for a folding knife anyway. There's no sense in being ridiculous. But man, it is taking a licking and keeping on ticking, as they say. See if I can get you around sideways. Maybe you can see that a little better. If I can get myself here angled up a little better. Look how it just cuts. Man. Look at that. I gotta say, it is still rock solid. That's pretty impressive to me, because I was banging it pretty good. I wasn't going too crazy with it, but still pretty impressive. Let's split this privet out now. This is some seriously dense wood. But we'll go ahead and split that out. See if we can carve some feathers out of it, because it has, again, been raining here in Georgia in the middle of June. And earlier today, it was about 90-something degrees, and the humidity was about 300%, I think, 'cause it felt like it, man. I was doing little projects around the house, and man, it got really sweaty. So not bad there, to be honest with you, just for little stuff. What about just some plain old carving? So you can see a notch I carved here before. Let's just see about carving another notch. And instead of using any kind of a batoning, just go ahead and carving it. And let's see how comfortable this handle is, because typically a folding knife is not going to be as comfortable under hard to use, especially if you have, you know, pocket clip and all kinds of little doodad stuff going on there. But I'll try to use it anyway and just see, because the edge on this thing is phenomenal. So if you don't want a baton, you can also do what's known as beaver chew, which is kind of just cutting your way around, and you can do it like that. I mean, obviously you saw it. So you start with a notch and just work your way around and make it just a, you know, just kind of gnaw it down, so to speak, like so, right? And this is, like I said, really tough wood, so this is a good test as to whether or not this thing is comfortable. And got a few hot spots, and we'll talk about those as soon as I get this thing through, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish it. Done this many times over the years when I was a kid with my Boy Scout knife and other blades. And usually once you get it about right here, you can just break it, and there you go. So that's another useful technique around camp to carve stuff off and break it. And again, this is very solid wood. So there's that. And I will say right here, my hand is kind of just from squeezing. Look at that. I got some blood again. What's up with that? It's and I think that's not necessarily from the pocket clip, although the pocket clip kind of fits up in here. Didn't really feel it, but it was just from the. Let's see, it's from just the general pressure, probably the lock back and stuff. Could be from having sissy hands. I don't know. So next thing we try to do is make some feathers, and this is privet. It's not necessarily the best feather making wood in the world, but we'll see what we can get, because this is a really, really good edge. Let's go down with the grain. And this edge is so, so keen. I think the last cold steel knife I reviewed was the hollow handle survival knife, and it had a candy grind on it, and man, cold steel just does a really good job with their edges. This thing is so sharp, it's like, I'm not used to using a knife this sharp, I guess, because man, it is really, really, really sharp. So, but let's just see what we can do with this one then. Any deficiencies you might be pointing out here are certainly with the user, not the blade. This thing is, by golly, sharp. I got mosquitoes buzzing around everywhere. I did not fire up the old thermocell. I should have. They are out in force. Okay, so those are pretty fine there. And again, this is not my favorite wood to make feathers with. The privet, if I can learn to just, and this edges, man, they're so stinking sharp. I have to really almost relearn to use it because this is, I haven't messed with me knives this sharp in a while. Straight from the factory too. It's just carving these little tiny, very, very, if I can just edge that little scanty there, extremely little fine little hairs of curls here, sort of. Okay, I'll stop doing that. That's just so much fun. This thing just glides through. Another thing I like to check is a sharp spine on any kind of an outdoor knife. This one feels pretty good, and I gotta say, anytime you're trying to scrape with a folding knife, you stand the chance of it closing on your hand, and that is not good. Even with a great lock, if you're holding on to it and happen to hit that button right there, hit the lock release right there, it can fold up on you. So I'm gonna take a chance here and just try it like this. I'm gonna try to be very careful not to hit that, and just see how well it'll scrape. And hopefully it doesn't close up on me, because this thing is sharp. It would hurt if it did. But it seems to be scraping pretty good here. That's good for a couple of different things, a couple of different skills. Obviously it's good for firecraft. It's also good for smoothing things, like I think if you're making, you know, arrows or spears or something like that, you need to have a smooth, just kind of smooth stuff up. So that's pretty good there. So also something that's really good for is scraping some fat wood. This is a little child that came off the mothership that's just sitting over there. It's been on the ground forever. We're just gonna see how well this thing scrapes here. Because we gotta be careful, man. I don't want to. And it's doing pretty good. It's not like super, super sharp, but it's doing pretty stinking good, I gotta say. All right, let's just get you off here now, and maybe pile you up there, because you know where we're going with this. I got to get some flamage going here to maybe ward off some of these mosquitoes, some smoke or something. Let's see. We're gonna carve a little bit of curls here too, because I like the way it smells. Okay, so there's that. Let's see how well she'll strike a ferro rod. And again, leave this thing open, but I'm gonna shut it and see if it'll just strike from the back like this. That's infinitely safer. Should be, and you still got the same spine, so using a folding knife, that's what I always recommend doing. And let's just see what happens. Oh, look at there, would you? Oh, that fat wood is just such a lovely thing. And man, these mosquitoes are all over me. Okay, well, that is pretty successful in my opinion. Santa Claus leaves Chuck Norris milk and cookies. Okay, well, I gotta say, I am pretty impressed with the Cold Steel Fenwolf folding knife. It did everything I needed it to do exceptionally well. Crossed baton through some really hard privet, which for a folding knife, that's borderline abuse in my opinion. but it got the job done. And then it split that privet, carved some really nice fine feathers. This thing carves like nobody's business. It's got a really good edge on it. Scraped and struck a ferro rod really well. Just a very, very solid knife, very lightweight. This is just an excellent knife, I think, for all-around outdoor use. I'm pretty impressed with this thing. I like the reversible pocket clip. I like tip-up carry. Just a very, very well-made knife, in my opinion, for under 40 bucks. And that's all well and good. But if you've been watching the channel for very long, you know that here at Survival on Purpose, we're all about the science. And we maintain a state-of-the-art, cutting-edge knife testing facility here at Survival on Purpose Worldwide Headquarters. One of the things we like to put every fixed blade knife through is the balance, orientation, and rotation device to check the balance on it. We typically do not do that with folding knives because the testing process is pretty abusive, and it just doesn't make sense to do it on a knife with a hinge. However, this thing has impressed me so much that I think we may just put this one on the old balance, orientation, and rotation device. What do you think? Should we do it? Yeah, why not, right? Let's try it. Ooh, well, calibration error, but still solid. Let's try again. Okay, we're not going to tempt fate, because let me tell you, I have already done this with 4 miscalibrations, and 1 successful balance test with the camera off. Go figure. Yeah, that's a rookie mistake. I've been doing this long enough, I should know better. But so the reality is this thing has went through 2 balance tests successfully. We're not going to tempt fate though, because it is a plastic handle frame. Actually, the whole thing is, the only metal in this handle is the pins and the lock. It is plastic, so it just doesn't make sense to continue to abuse it. But I got to say, it took a licking and kept on ticking. So if you're one of the people who in sometime in the last few years suggested I take a look at this cold steel Fenwith folding knife, thank you very much, because I got to say, it was a good idea. This is absolutely a rock solid knife. This may be, in my opinion, one of the best values in an outdoor folder under 50 bucks. Again, this one's under 40 bucks. And it comes in a lot of different colors. I like the orange because, you know, if I drop it, I don't lose it, but or stand less of a chance of losing it. But it absolutely rocks the house. So I highly recommend this one. This one, by the way, is made in Taiwan. And if you're at all up on your world history and world politics, you'll know that they are a strong ally of the United States. So anyway, as always, there'll be a couple of links to this in the video description below. And in my opinion, I always try to buy from Blade HQ because they're knife folks over there and I like supporting them. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. As always, thanks for watching Survival on Purpose. I put out a brand new video every Friday and Saturday, sometimes random videos throughout the week. If you want to make sure you don't miss a single one, I invite you to go to survivalonpurpose.com/subscribe. Get connected with my weekly email newsletter every week. I'll send you an email with links to videos and other cool stuff in it. So anyway, I really sincerely appreciate the support. Once again, my name's Brian. You're watching Survival on Purpose. Remember, survival's not an accident, so be prepared. I'll see you next time.